What's going on, my beautiful butterflies? It's Nick here, and we're going to get started. We're going to go through a simple recap of yesterday's trades and also a little pre-market warm-up of today's trades. All I ask is that you hit the like button on this video for me sharing this free content as well as the stuff here in my free Telegram channel. And if you're not my free Telegram channel, hit the link in the description for my free trading, and you can join that. So thank you for hitting the like button if you did. Cool. So these are yesterday's trades. I didn't even make a weekly pre-market warm-up video, whatever I call it, because the market was looking kind of sideways yesterday. Not for all the pairs, but for a lot of them. So these were the trades we took. You see, pretty much ended up flat on the day. Barely any profit, then minus commissions. It was pretty much just a break-even day yesterday. So I was right. Things were pretty sideways yesterday. So that's that. So we'll break down these right here, and then we'll also, while we're breaking these down, we will go through the analysis for each pair. So I think what might be a better thing to do is if I just go to the chart here and we'll just look and see which trades are there and stuff like that. So we took one trade on AUD/JPY yesterday. So it was this right here. So price came up to this 1 hour resistance level. And then what price did is it started to reject this zone. My system is support or resistance. A lot of the trades are breaks and retests, but I will take a trade that's just a bounce off of a support resistance zone. I mean, like, because it all works the same way. Like whether price breaks the zone and then comes back and it finds support and starts rejecting, you could call this like a break and a retest. You could say it was resistance first, then it broke above, came back and retested and started to bounce. Or if price just comes back to this zone from like a far like price up above and starts bouncing, it's the same idea. You're just looking for price to bounce off of a super clear, obvious support resistance zone. So yeah, I just thought price was going to move from this resistance up here down to here. And as you see, this ended up happening. So I called this trade yesterday. What ended up happening was, so we took this sell right here. And what ended up happening was that price, we got our entry, it moved halfway to the target, started coming back up, and after it started coming back up, we cut the trade around break even. So I cut it around break even for a couple reasons. Number one, we had a low form right here, then we had a low form right here, which was a higher low, and then it started coming back up. I thought, it was just going to dive straight to go back down here to this low, a little bit past it. It was weird to me that price made a higher low and started going back up. So I just chose to cut it right there. It ended up going down here. This trade, had we held it, this would have been all through Asian session. So, obviously not the best place to hold a trade. This one would have ended up stopping out right before going to the target. So when price isn't moving and it's starting to range sideways and go sideways, it's not the best sign for your trade. If you're right, a lot of the times it'll usually just go straight to the profit target without really playing around. There will be some times where you have to be patient, but if you're correct about the trade, it will usually just go straight to the profit target. So yeah, we were right about the move. This one was cut out at break even though, like I said. So that was AUD/JPY right there at the bottom. So now let's go into here. Let's see what we're looking for today. So we will go here to the 1 hour. I'm gonna draw the basic zones. Actually, I don't see anything here. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything at all right here in AUD/JPY. This is a very choppy area, so I don't really see anything. So I think what I'll do is I might just leave AJ alone. There is like a bit of a support right here, but like there's like also like a million supports right here. Like look at this. There's like one right here with these lows. You can drag it lower. You can drag it down here with these lows. Yeah, so I'm going to leave AJ alone today. I don't really see anything clear. There's Euro USD. So let's go through this. So I'm going to take this alert off and drag it up to here for today's trade. No trades on Euro USD yesterday. This one I was looking to take, but I didn't take it because it was kind of late in the trading session. This one was like a break and retest of this 1 hour support zone. I kept it on the chart to see what would have happened. I put the little tool there, and then I had to go to the store with my little sister yesterday. And then when I came back, we went to the shooting range yesterday. And then when it came back, it had hit the profit target. So like I said, didn't take that trade because it was kind of late in the session. But yeah, it would have ended up working out. So maybe I should just start taking trades, whenever, whenever they set up. But so that's that. No trades yesterday in EU. Currently right now we've got price Yeah, we're way down here. So here's what I'm thinking on EU. I'm thinking a push back here to this zone, and if we see rejection here, a trade could be taken off of that zone for a bounce. So that's pretty simple. A break and a retest. That's it. Obviously, we're going to need some lower time frame rejection. Price coming to the zone, making like a little double top on the minute 5 or something like that, showing like a couple bearish rejection wicks. Stuff like this is what I like to see whenever I'm looking for rejection at a zone. A lot of people make it really complicated, and I understand. Like I used to when I got into trading, because I would take some stop outs and some break evens and some wins, and it almost seemed like kind of random. And I would start asking myself, what exactly do I look for, like when trading at the zone? Like what exactly has to happen? And what I've learned is that sometimes, to be honest with you guys, it seems like it's just completely freaking random. Like you look, and then the way the candle's set up, and it kind of rejects, and there's like a couple different wicks bouncing there, double, triple top. Like if you wait for rejection and price stops and starts to reject a couple times, you just take the trade. It doesn't matter what specifically happens. Some of the trades are going to work out and some of them are not going to work out. And so, and it's really hard to put like a super strict black and white regimen into it when it comes to looking at the rejection, because it's going to set up differently for every single trade. Like you may have like the same sort of move, right? You may have like a price tests once, bounces, and then comes and tests a second time and starts to bounce. But the way this looks right here, you see like just a double top formation. The way that actually can play out can be like kind of like this, where it rejects, then goes back up and comes down, and it pushes up, then it goes sideways, and it pushes up and makes a lower high, and then goes down. And it's going to be different from every damn time frame. And even if you get it right, and even if exactly what you want to set up happens, the trade still won't always work out, right? You're still going to get stopped out. You'll still take losing streaks sometimes, 2 or 3 trades. So for me, it's like goofy to even worry about like looking for the exact specific rejection candlestick, Japanese candlestick pattern thing every single time. Because there will be some times where price just goes and bounces at the zone like 2 or 3 times like this right here. And it's not even really a double top. It's just kind of a couple wick rejections. And then stuff like this ends up working out where you take a sell and then it just ends up, crashing back down to the previous support level. So my advice is like, don't take my advice. My advice is stupid. I mean, I have been doing this for 4 years, 3.5 years profitably. I've been trading for 5 years, doing it like 3.5, 4 years profitably. But if you're looking for suggestions, I would say go and figure out whatever the hell works best for you. But don't be so strict on yourself whenever it comes to rejections for entries, because it's going to look different for every trade, and it's also going to look different for every time frame. If you are a support and resistance trader like me, you are simply waiting for price to come to a support or resistance zone and just show evidence that it's starting to bounce right there. Okay. You're pretty much looking for anything except price just crashing through the zone. That you just, as long as that doesn't happen, like crap like this right here, like when that happens, right? So obviously it's probably no trade there. But if you see price come to a major clear support resistance zone and it starts to kind of bounce and start showing evidence that it's trying to bounce at that zone, hey, chances are it's probably gonna try to bounce at the zone. So there's my little spiel on entry rejection, like what to look for before entering a trade. So there's that EU. I'm just waiting for price to pop back up, show some rejection, then I'll look to take a sell off this. Something like this right here. You can target the previous low. What we're doing now, I'm just compounding 1-to-1. I found that 1-to-1 risk rewards, or it's actually 1-to-1.1 risk rewards. For me, whenever I ran my metrics for, where was this? For last month, 32% win rate on my trades. But if I was just targeting a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, not even compounding it, I would have been more profitable, which is kind of hilarious. Barely more profitable. I would have made 2K extra. But the win rate is 81%. So with the 81% win rate, like what the hell? Like you just compound it up, like, for 5K account. I started at a 10K account and I'm risking 10% per trade. So pretty much 1K per trade right now. And this right here is the account's currently at 12K, 11,900. This is a CoinX, one of my CoinX accounts. So it's like risking like 10% per trade compounded. Like, it just seems to have worked better. So that's what I'm doing for this month to test it out. So that's how we're running it this time. So that's why you guys see me only targeting 1-to-1. Like if 1-to-1 hits like 70 to 80% of the time, then, it makes sense to just do that and then compound it, because these are where most of the winners come from. There will be losing streaks of 2 to 3 trades. but most of the winning streaks will like wipe that out. So it's like the winning streaks of 3, 4, 5, 6 trades or more will wipe that out. So yep, so that's why you see me doing 1-to-1 here now. I'm doing it for this month to test it out. So GJ, so it looks like we've had a nice bounce of this support resistance zone, and it looks like price is trying to come up here. So here's what I'm looking for. This is pretty straightforward. I want to see price come to this zone and start rejecting, and I'll look to trade a bounce of this zone right here. So I'm adding an alert there at that zone. It's not the clearest zone from back in the past, especially from this crap right in here. But that's the only time it was kind of a weird zone. This zone has recently started to have been more respected. If we go to the minute 30, you can see right here, price is like nicely like respecting this area. Resistance here, broke above support right here and started to test. Yeah, so that's that. I took some trades on GJ yesterday. 2 partial losses. 2 of them, they were pretty much like half the losses, but they were these right here. So if you look at my trades, there were these 2 GJ trades. The risk on each of these would have been at that time, I think like 1,200 or 1,300 risk. And pretty much they're both closed pretty much like halfway to the stop. So both of these were like pretty much minus 1R or 1 unit of risk. There were these right here, and we'll go to let's go to the terminal here, and we'll go to GBPJPY. And you can see these. Let's go to that minute 15. Yeah, so they're both right here. If you see like in the middle where my mouse is at, a sell here, and then it would a partial loser, and then another sell, and then it was a partial loser on the way up. But it was pretty much both of these right here. The reason I took these trades, it was the same thing as a bounce of resistance, except I had the resistance zone up here. So I was thinking that price was going to bounce at these zones. But I had gotten the zone wrong, which is why it's really important to make sure you're looking at the 1 hour chart. Because had I been including the price data for like the actual zone that was a little bit further down, I would have been looking for buys instead of sells. But even then, like I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for quite some time. Even if you get everything right, you're still gonna be like wrong sometimes. So if I were you, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I was trying to fix the zone. Cool. So yeah. So anyway, it bounced up, started finding support. So a good way you can avoid getting the zones wrong is making sure that the higher time frames, like the 4 hour, 1 hour, whatever, make sure that they also align with the minute 15. Meaning, if you've got like a horizontal zone, right, on the let's say 4 hour, right, we'll really include everybody in here. We'll include all the swing traders, day traders. Everybody's invited here at Mission FX. So on the higher time frames, you know, if price goes and it starts testing a zone of support, then it breaks below, starts testing it as resistance. Make sure that on the lower time frames, whenever you actually zoom in, you know, to like maybe this is a 4 hour zone, let's say you move into the minute 15, make sure that the zone is still being respected pretty much right there in the same spot on the minute 15. If you get to like the 4 hour zone, but then you go to the minute 15, and then price starts respecting down here as resistance, right? And then it's like you're like wondering, well, what the hell is going on? Like, is this the resistance zone down here, or is it this up here? And should I wait for price to come all the way there? But then you start seeing like prices respecting this as resistance like 3 or 4 times. And so then you start wondering like, what the hell is going on? Where is the actual zone at? Is it down here, or is it up here? Or should I just increase this zone's width to include both of them? You start wondering what the hell's going on. When there's zones like that, I typically leave it the hell alone. Like, I wait for price to come and start respecting the zone on both the higher time frames and the minute 15. And why? Because you're going to be on the right side of the trade more often than not if you do that. Because not only are you going to have swing traders looking to trade these zones and take profits here in this location and everything like that, you're also going to have all your day traders and scalpers coming in and getting in at that exact zone as well. So the little lower time frame zone, while also being, you know, a 4 hour zone as well, all of that is going to come together, and it's going to just make the zone more likely to be respected more nicely. But then again, what the hell do I know? So that's just from my experience. So if you've got like for instance, weird crap like this where you're like, is the zone right there support, or is it like up here and there's this random like support level forming, and you're just like, what the hell is going on? Where's the zone? Like it can be frustrating. The best thing I found for that is to just walk away. Just leave it alone, because like it's really difficult to try to trade those zones. Wait till everything lines up. Like, you know, make your goal in trading not to just jump into a trade, but to like kind of sit there and wait and just really be very, they say be patient. I would say it in a different way, like I would say be very selective. Like think of it whenever you sit in front of the charts, like the chart has to convince you that there's a very compelling setup before you're going to jump into the trade. Don't be quick to try to pull the trigger or jump in and hope that they think this is going to be the right zone. Whatever, I'll just do it. Like sit in front of the chart and just chill out and wait for literally everything about your trading system and your trading criteria and entry parameters. Wait for all those things to line up first to where the chart is just really, really convincing, and it's really convincing you to get off your seat and jump into the trade. Because those ones will probably be more likely if you just wait for those and you wait for everything to line up. So again, the simple way you can do this is by having the approach of, I'm going to sit in front of the charts today and I'm not going to take any trades unless the market is presenting me a setup that is super clear and is very compelling. And if it is, and everything is right, literally down to the zones, the entries, the risk reward, whatever, like if everything is correct and everything is right for your trading system, then do that. Then jump into the trade. You'll probably have a little bit more winners. So there was that. So I'm looking for a bounce right here. Me breaking down the simple things in extreme detail. A break and a retest and the rejection, and like going into a couple minute long spiel about how to construct the zone. So I was waiting on this right here for GJ. I was waiting on price to come back and retest this zone. I'm happy with where I drew the zone. I would not have had it up here where price started to react. I'm happy with having my zone where it was at, which was like down there. I was waiting on price to come back and retest this area. We'll go to the 1 hour. Price had snapped above the zone. It was coming back here. I had this alert here. As you can see, it's still sitting there. Price crashed through it. The alert went off at like 10 p.m. last night, or 8 p.m., 9 p.m. last night. So I was waiting on price to come. It looks like it never got all the way into the zone before bouncing. So you can see it bounced right there, but above the zone. Like I said, I wait for everything to like line up. So if you see, I had my alert right here at this previous high because I want price to come all the way back. Because then if that happens, that means that price on all time frames would be lining up. It would be this is a 4 hour zone. It's a 4 hour, 1 hour zone. And we'll go back up. We'll go to the 1 hour just so you can see. But you see this right here, like very freaking obvious. Like that's a resistance twice right there. It was support once right here, or twice, I guess. And then it had pushed back up. I was waiting on that zone there. I wasn't trying to roll the dice on hoping something else had happened. And it never set up. It came close. It would have gone up. I mean, if we would have entered up there, it still would have been like a profitable trade. It would have been a winner. But yeah, it never set up for me. It didn't come low enough. And then when it did, this was like, I mean, this is during London session, right? So I'm asleep at this time. But it wouldn't have showed any rejection in the first place. So, and by rejection, I mean like a double top, double bottom. It did respect as resistance right here. It did break below and come test as resistance and bounce. But then again, I wouldn't have even taken that trade because I wait for like 2 rejections at least of a zone before getting in. I want to see that initial bounce, and then I want to see it come up a second time and then start showing like a wick or rejection or something. And then after that, that's what's convincing for me. So yeah, that's that. All right, cool. So we've already had GJ, and this is what I was talking about, like constructing zones in the 1 hour, 4 hour, and then pinpointing them on the minute 15. So we're here on the on the minute 5. Minute 5, minute 15, almost the same time frame, right? But let's do it. So I'll show you. This is a 1 hour zone, right? If you're zooming out, you can see this is pretty much a pretty nice 1 hour zone. We've had price test as resistance a bunch of times. We've had it test as support. We did have some weird crap in here, right? So we had some volatility. We had a spike right there and a spike right here. But aside from those 2 spikes, everything else has been pretty nicely respected. Resistance there, broke above, tested as support yesterday. So that's good. So when you construct these zones on those time frames, right? And then you go down to the lower time frames, what you want to do is you want to make sure that the lower time frame zones are still respecting like the same 4 hour zone. You don't want to see any weird, like the minute 15 is not aligning with the 1 hour zone. What the F, what do I do now? So what I do is like this, like sometimes you'll see I have like 2 zones on the chart or something, like a zone on top of a zone, zoneception. But all I'm doing is I'm like saying, okay, this right here is the main like 1 hour zone, right? And then this right here is the more pinpointed like version of that zone on like the minute 15. And what's nice is whenever price comes to those zones and it starts respecting them, because then you can see from minute 15, minute 5, even the minute 3 chart, you see price come into that exact same zone and start respecting it. and it comes all the way back like to where the previous lows were. It tests right there. It starts to reject. This showed like 2 rejections right there. So this would have been a nice trade to take. Of course, it's in the middle of London sessions, like 4 a.m. for me, 4 a.m. I'm fast asleep at that time. But so that right there, I mean, and that's a simple trade, right? It's just a simple bounce of a support resistance level. It's a break and a retest. An entry here, stop just above the zone. Target at the previous low or the next support resistance zone. But as you guys know, I'm just doing 1 to 1.1 for now and just compounding the hell out of it. So it's a very simple trade that's duplicatable over and over. You're not going to win them all, but it boils down to that same thing, right? It's a break and retest of a 1 hour zone. And on the 1 hour, you can't even really see it, right? Like that whole trade right in there, you can't even observe it here on the 1 hour. And now we're getting a potential for another entry for it to come back, because that will be a break, and then a price comes and retests it. You can look for an entry there. So that's what I'm going to be looking for this session here on GJ. On the minute 5, also, we had this setup down in here. To grab this little thing. So price came down to this zone. What I would have done is after it started showing wicks right there, I would have dragged the zone up a little bit. But check this out. It comes to the zone, right? We have a nice bounce with this black candle right here going up, another blue bear candle down, and then another rejection a second time. So this is what I'm saying about how every trade is going to look different, right? And we'll go to the minute 3 to be able to see this little move a little bit better. So price comes down here, right? It tests the zone. It has that first bounce, and then it comes and tests the second time and has the second bounce. If you look at this, right, it looks all scraggly right here with the price action. Almost even looks like kind of a triple bottom. But when you look at the minute 5, minute 3, minute 15, you're looking for that rejection. As long as your zone is clear enough, like on the 1 hour, and I mean, this is a pretty clear zone, especially recently. It's support, resistance, 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 support a couple times, and it comes in and starts rejecting again. As long as the zone is clear enough, this double bottom, it's going to look different on every time frame, right? It's going to look different on the 15, on the 5, on the 3 minute. You're just looking to see evidence that price is pausing at the zone. I love whenever price starts showing a lot of wicks like that, because that means that price is quickly going to the zone and then rapidly getting rejected. So yeah. So, I mean, this would have been a good trade too. Right here. So there's that first bounce here. There's a second bounce here. I don't enter after price has already left the zone. So the entry would be there. Stop would be below the zone. Target for me a 1-to-1. I don't enter after price has already left the zone. What I would have done is I would have waited for price to come back into the zone, and I would have entered outright at the zone, provided that there's already been 2 rejections. So there was that first bounce there, then a second bounce occur right here. If it's already taken off, I don't chase it. I wait for it to come back into the zone a third time, and I'll normally enter outright that third time. Now, what does this do? If you have an entry up here and you're targeting a 1-to-1 of the next zone, you're going to get like, 1-to-1 or maybe a 1-to-2 if you target the next zone, or more if your entry's better. If you go down here and you wait for it to come back into the zone, and it won't always happen. There's very often times it will just take off, right? It'll take off to the next 1 hour zone, and the train left without you, and you're crying, and your friends are asking where the hell you are. They texted you, they asked you to be there early, and you're not even on the train, and everyone's pissed off. But if you wait, sometimes the train will come back. And when the train is nice enough to come back, you have the risk reward a lot in your favor. Targeting the same risk reward, it's a 1-to-2 now instead of a 1-to-1.1. But for me, like I said, I don't even target that. It's a 1-to-1.1. I mean, look how quickly this trade would have played out. Here in the minute 3, it's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3-minute candles. So this trade is like a 15-minute long trade. It hit a 1-to-3, risking like $1,300. This trade would have made me like a little over $1,400. And it's just waiting for that entry, right? Now it still would have worked out if you would have entered up here and then had the target up there. This one still would have worked out, which oftentimes, if you're right, these trades will move all the way to the next 1 hour zones. My win rate, like you saw, is lower for trying to target that far. My win rate is last month 32% for targeting the next major zone. You get some nice winners that are like 1-to-4, 1-to-5, like up here, 1-to-3, 1-to-4. But the thing is that like if it has that bounce to 1-to-1 like 80% of the time, for me like 70 to 90, it just depends on the trading month, like quite frankly, because sometimes it just seems completely random. Like sometimes it'll be like 50% win rate one week, the next week it'll be like 90%. So it all just depends on all that crap. But if it's gonna get there 60 to 70% of the time for the 1-to-1, then it's like, it makes a lot of sense to just like wait for that bounce right there. And if it goes all the way to the next zone, great. If it doesn't, cool. 70 to 80 to 90% of the time, you're going to get this little bounce right here. And this one, like we saw, took like 15 minutes, right? So if you're just risking high amounts per trade, you have very low losing streaks. then everything will be fine long term. I mean, I think the worst losing streak last month, if I was targeting 1-to-1, would have been these two right here. It was a 2-trade losing streak. So the maximum number of trades lost in a row is 2 trades. My losing streak last month was, here it shows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it was actually worse than this. It was an 8-trade losing streak. The reason being is because we didn't take all these trades in this order. This is all like aligned nicely, EJ, GJ, AJ, GU. There was a combination of trades we took. I think it was the 3rd week of last month where it was like I think it was like an 8-trade losing streak. Now, of course, the risk rewards are like 1-to-5, 1-to-4, like that. They're like all 1-to-4 and up. So whenever we like win 2 trades or whatever, or one, like here we had these winners like 1-to-3, 1-to-3, 1-to-5, 1-to-3. All these like work itself out, right? But you got to go through that damn losing streak to get it all sorted out. And why is AU not popping up here? What the hell's going on with that trade? Here's a -1 on AU. Why is that not in there? Go ahead and throw that in there. Okay, cool. So yeah, so that's the way it all works out. So it is what it is. So yeah, there it is. So let's look for GJ to come up into this support resistance zone right here, and then we'll wait for a bounce. And if it has a bounce, then we'll look to get short. Very simple. So we took 1 trade on EJ yesterday, and that's it. So there's this 1-hour support resistance zone right in here. I had mine a little bit lower at the time I was doing this yesterday. And if I could be honest with you guys, I wish I hadn't took this trade. It worked out still. It was still a profitable trade. You know, we had let's go back to the thing. Yeah, so Euro JPY, so it was like $1,000. So it was still a profitable trade. In fact, it should have been 1,200. It like pinned the target and then started to reject, and I was like, fuck. And so I like just closed it as it started to reject, because it like almost came to the TP and then started to bounce right there really hard. So it should have been like 12 or 1,300, but it was still like a profitable trade. It still pretty much hit the profit target. So for that one right there, the reason I wish I hadn't took this trade is because of the same stuff I was telling you guys right now. On the 1 hour, yeah, it's like here's the wide zone, right? So it all makes sense here on the 1 hour, but on the minute 15, like we're here, we see some different stuff, right? So we see these lows down in here. So now, if we delete the 1 hour zone for a second, now we've got these lows in here, but we've also got this high up in here, that previous low. And if you want to include the previous low even further up right there, it's even more of a nightmare, because now you've got this wider zone. So now the whole zone becomes like a big question mark. It becomes like, all right, that's the zone in the 1 hour. When we go to the 4 hour, everything's fine and dandy, right? Like it just looks like kind of a bigger zone or whatever. When you go down to the 1 hour, you know, and let's take off the little sub zones in there, and we include the wick of that low, and we include the top wicks of these highs. So that's like kind of the zone. But when you go to the lower time frames, the problem with drawing zones like this is that you get stuck between, okay, what the hell? These are the resistance areas that are forming right there, including the most recent rejection. And now price has pushed up higher all the way to the top of this 1 hour zone, which is where that previous low is. So now you're in here and you're wondering, you're like, what the hell? Like which one is it going to be? Because like, what if it's just breaking above this zone and testing, and then it's going to rip up as support, which actually ended up kind of sort of happening. It dipped a lot further, but then went up. But like as you see, like this, if I hadn't been targeting a 1 to 1.1, this one would have ripped up. I would have been break even or stopped out on this trade. So that's why I was not happy with my decision for that trade. Again, yesterday being a choppy day, being like a break even day for me, was like I was like, man, like I can't find any trades. I'm really looking for something. That was the only thing I could find at the time towards the earlier in the trading session. So, I mean, you know, it is what it is, but like, this is what I'm trying to give you guys. Cause even me like trading like profitably full time for the past 3.5, almost 4 years now. Well, I think actually it's been pretty much 4 years now. It has been 4 years now. Yeah. Summer 2017 to summer 2021. I need to start remembering to say 4 years. Yeah. So it's been a little over 4 years I've been trading profitably. Holy crap, time's gone by so fast. I started this in March 2016. This is like crazy. So over 4 years, you still see people do dumb crap like that, right? Like people are humans. They don't do things correctly every time, myself included. Like it's like, it is what it is, right? So, but you know, hopefully learn from my guru mistakes and learn from my stumbles and fumbles, so that way you don't have to stumble or fumble as much. So anyway, that was this trade for yesterday in EJ. It was a break retest of a 1 hour zone. The rejection was on the minute 5. As you can see, we had a little double top here. We had price go, had a nice little wick rejection, push up again, had another bearish push away from that zone. We entered after that bearish push right there. So that was that. It went into it hit the profit target. It was cool. It's fine. It's great. So then it went back up and then started ripping upwards. So that's that trade. Now let's look at what we're seeing on Euro JPY right now. So we're actually seeing a trade right here on Euro JPY set up right now. Let's go. First, we'll make sure the zone's clear in the 1 hour. Is it clear on the 1 hour right here? Let's check and see. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty lined up, right? We've got a little bit of leakage, like with the highs like that going past it. Support a couple times, but now it's breaking, retesting, and rejecting. So now we'll go to the 5 minute, 15 minute. We'll make sure everything lines up on this time frame as well, which it does. I mean, there's some wicks pinning past the zone here, but it's come all the way back up. It's also come right back to the previous minute 5 low right there, tested with rejection. So yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to wait for price to pop back up into the zone a little bit, like up in here. And I'll widen this out a little bit here in the minute 5. We've already had one bounce of this zone. We'll go to the minute 3. So if we come back up here to the same area and start bouncing again, I mean, this is a trade I'm going to take right here. So I would enter right there and have a stop just above the zone, target at a 1 to 1.1. The reason I do 1 to 1.1 is because it covers the commissions a little bit more. So that way, if it's a 1 to 1, like you're down a little bit. It's not really a 1 to 1 because you have to pay commissions. Plus the lot sizes of these are a little bit higher. Like you see, there's like 14, 13, 10 lots, 9. It's 1.9, 12 lots. So the commissions, like even then, it's not really that bad because if these had all been winners, it would have been like a 6K day yesterday. The commission still would have only been $133, so it's not really that bad commissions. But it's $2 per standard lot with CoinX because like I showed you guys, this is a CoinX account right here, like CoinX. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get this set up just in case it sets up. Euro JPY, so we'll go here to Euro JPY. The way I calculate lot size right here, I've got this little position size calculator tool from, I guess, earnforex.com. One of my clients introduced me to this. It's really nice. It's free. I went to earnforex.com, downloaded it into MT5 here. And like I said, I'm using CoinX with this because the commissions are lower. With this one right here, so let's see where the stop would be. 128.75. Okay, so 128.75 is where I'll drag the little stop thing. And you see right here, you can change, like on the right-hand side of the screen, you can change everything. So if I want to risk like $1,000, right? If I were to enter right now, it would automatically target a 1 to 1.1 because you can pre-program this in and set it in. It's real simple. And then you see the position size would be 7 lots right now. Whatever. If I want to risk 10%, right, like I'm doing right now, then I do 10%. And then that means I'd be risking about $1,200. And if it wins, you can see it will be about $1,300. So yeah, so that's how I'm going to do it. So like I said, I'm going to wait for this to come up here. If price comes back up into here and starts to reject the zone, this would be a nice trade. And it would be a pretty easy trade because remember, like if it starts to reject this zone and starts to bounce again, you're just trying to target a price to fall away from the zone for a little bit. There's very often times where price will reject the zones and continue all the way down to the next support or resistance zone. So in this case, way down here, that can always happen. You do get trades like that, but it's like a lower percentage of the time in which that occurs. It happens so much more often where price just hits the zone again, rejects and starts to bounce, and you just capitalize on that little like push away from the zone. You have a way higher win rate, way more nice, way less losing streaks. I don't know. It just seems to me to work a little bit nicer. You know what I'm saying? So this is why I do that. But yeah, that's that. So we'll look for that on EJ. I don't know if that'll set up right here, but if it does, I'll take it right here, with you guys. You guys can see everything. So that's that. So EJ. So GBP USD. So right here, we've got some sketchy stuff. Check it out. All right. So in the 1 hour right here, we've got that support zone, which price smashed through. We've got this resistance zone, which now price is forming resistance at. And then we've got another sketchy zone down here. We've got like that right here, but now we also have a support level a little bit higher up. It's so weird. Like I don't even know how to respond to this. It's so confusing because like if you're looking up here, price could come here and start to break a retest that zone, right? but then it could come here and test this zone and then start to bounce upwards. And then it could just like spike out volatility wise from both of these levels. And it's weird. I don't know. I mean, technically it's at a resistance right now. So technically this could work, but I mean, I don't know. It's just like, so when I see stuff like this, right, a lot of people will just, they'll get confused and they'll get mad and upset and emotional and be like, trade this break and retest bull crap isn't simple. It's complicated. Look at which zone do I use? This is so stupid. Forex is stupid. I will now quit. I will work at McDonald's the rest of my life because Forex trading is a scam. So no, you know what you do instead? Just like, don't trade it. Just leave it alone. So I'm going to leave GU alone today. Unless something else happens that sets up, probably just going to leave GU alone. Doesn't look really clear. That's all you do. You just take off the zones. All this stuff may work out. I'll go ahead and leave them on to see what would have happened, but I'm not going to trade it because there's way too many outcomes. Price could come down here and start to bounce right there. It could come a little bit lower to this next zone, and then it could start to bounce right there. It could come all the way up here and break above and test, and you're wondering which zones to use. It's best to just leave it alone if that's happening because it's fine. You're not going to... Because for every zone, for every weird situation you have like that, you have a good situation like this here on 80 USD, where this was support super clearly in the past. It's more of like a 4-hour support level. It was resistance right here. There's that liquidity spike past it, but then it pops way up here. It comes all the way back, bottoms out right here as support, and you can see that there's multiple wick rejections right there, and it just looks good from every time frame. Like I said, especially the 4-hour. This is more of a it's more of a 4-hour support zone. So see how clear this is? Outside of this one like weird liquidity spike way past the zone, we do have a little bit of wicks, but they still close below. But outside of that, this zone is pretty freaking clear. Pretty freaking clear. And the same thing for up here. Same thing for that zone right there. So I mean, like, yeah, for every weird setup you find like on GU, like you'll find setups like this where it's super clear. So this is nice. Let's go ahead and extend it just a little bit lower to encapsulate these lows right there. We'll drag this down a little bit lower. Okay, so now we've refined it here on the 30-minute, minute 15. We'll check. Minute 15 is looking nice with a lot of bullish rejections. And we got the double bottom on the test of the zone earlier in the session. So again, this, you can call it a test of support. I'd call it a break and retest because it was technically a high right here. Price broke it. Now it's come back. It's testing and it's starting to bounce. It's still a support resistance zone, still, break or retest, whatever the hell you want to call it, right? It's bouncing off of a key price level. On the minute 5, again, like for my entries, you guys can test whatever you want to do, whatever you want. But for me, like all I'm looking for is like a double bottom. So I look at the minute 5 and minute 3 for this, and I use them both in combination. Right here we have one bounce, and then right here we have a second bounce, and price started pinning upwards. So for this right here, like I said, you can enter right after that, but if price has already left the zone and my stops below it, targets up here to 1-to-1, this would have worked out. It would have taken, however long. This is 321 to 6. So this one would have taken about 3 hours. It still worked out. It's fine. And most of the time, like I said, if you're right, it will go back up to the previous like 1-hour support resistance zone, and it will just kind of bounce around from zone to zone all day. That's all price does. It just bounces from zone to zone. So this is fine, but like I said, what I like to do is enter at the zones because it makes it so much easier. So for this right here, what I would have been doing is after that, it would have like taken off too quickly because the entry confirmation didn't occur until that candle, right? Because if you're looking to enter right here, on that blue candle, like there's no confirmation it's gonna bounce like that second time yet, right? It hits the zone. There's no like spike, there's no wick, there's no nothing. Sometimes you'll get lucky enough to get like a wick down into the zone like that, and then you'll still be able to enter at the zone, but sometimes it'll just pop up and it goes off too fast. So what I do is as long as price like has that little bounce there, if it's too far from the zone, I don't try to chase it. I wait for it to come back to the zone and I enter as soon as it gets to any region of the zone. You don't have to wait for a deep test of the zone. I just wait because sometimes it won't even do that. Sometimes it won't even come back. It'll just keep ripping up to the target and it's just a trade that you didn't take. So, you miss it. But if you wait for it to come back to the zone and you just have your stop, like don't have your stop super tight, make sure it's a little bit like below the zone and below all the recent lows. So that way, cause like sometimes it can come and it can pin like pretty low into the zone and then it can push up. Drew the oval instead of an arrow. But if you just wait for after the double bottom has occurred, if it's already taken off from the zone, wait for it to like just come back and just enter outright. Like if the rejection has already occurred and you would already be in the trade, right? If it's bounced up here twice and it started to go up, like if you would already be in the trade and you'd be comfortable holding for it to go back to the zone and test again, like as long as you would already be in the trade right there, but you just want a better entry, just wait to see if it'll come back to the zone. And if it does, cool, you got a better entry. And then check it out. If you're just targeting like 1 to 1.1 and compounding, your target only has to be like the next, like not even the previous high. Like this right here is like the previous high. Your target's like lower than that with a 1 to 1.1, and your stop is nicely placed. So that way it doesn't have to be right below. You're not going to be that worried about getting stopped out. Price has already started to form like some support at the zone. So yeah, I mean, your drawdown would have been like, it went like a third of the way to the stop, and then it popped right back up, and then it hit the profit target within, so it's 4:09 to 5:15, a little over 1 hour. So a little over 1 hour. If you risked 1K in this trade, you would have made about 1,100. You know, in the next trade, you'd risk whatever it is, 1,100, and then that one, you win that one, it goes to like 1,200 profit. You keep on compounding it. It's yeah. So I mean, that's a little example of what would have occurred right there. So that's cool. I mean, it's the same old stuff over and over. Just break a retest, looking for rejection, the retest, so on and so forth. I'm not awake at this time, 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. So if price goes up to here, what I'm be looking for is a rejection of this zone. I'll be looking for the exact same thing, same stuff over and over. And I'll be looking for price to reject the zone. So if it comes up to here, what I'll be looking for is price to hit this area. Then I'll be looking for it to start like doing like something like that, right? So a couple like 2 little bounces. If that occurs, then my trade will look something along the lines of this. Entry there, stop above the zone, target at a 1 to 1.1. And then with that, like price doesn't even have to like run all the way to the previous 1 hour zone. It just has to have like a little bit of a sell off. And then as long as it just bounces, then it can go and rip all the way back up here, whatever. I'm already out of the trade. I'm already kicking it. I'm not having to worry about what's going to happen the rest of the day or the rest of the night in Asian session, holding it overnight. It's just, it's pretty straightforward and simple. I'm going to include these lows up here. So just like I said, a little bit of confluence in the minute 15, minute 5. I'm actually going to wait for price to come all the way up there, because what that will mean is not only has price come up into this like 4 hour, 1 hour zone, like you've seen down in here with all these lows, not only is that occurring, but price is also coming all the way back to the most recent, we'll call this like a minute 15 lows. Like prices bounced there, bounced here, breaks, come all the way back. So not only will it be testing the 4 hour zone, it'll also be retesting the recent minute 15 level as well. So yeah, that's what I'll be looking for. And that'll be an easy trade if it sets up. I mean, as long as, obviously everything could stop out, whatever, it is what it is. But if it has a little bit of a bounce right there, then you'll be fine. So that's that. US 30, let's see what happens. Yeah, so this is pretty simple. We're waiting on price to come up to that zone and start bouncing again. I'm going to drag it down a little bit lower because that's where the lows are being respected. Oh yeah, and I put this yesterday. I was waiting for a bounce right there. That would have been nice to have seen. So it would have been a push up. So it's a break and retest on the 1 hour. It comes back, test the zone, bounce, a second bounce right here with rejection. So that's the rejection on that second candle right there. It's already kind of left the zone though, because if the zone is like down here and that's where the lows of that wick is in the second one, I would have just simply waited for it to like come into the zone again. So after it comes into the zone again, I would have entered a stop just below the zone and just below the recent low. Target of a 1 to 1.1. So this one would have been hit in like probably less than an hour. So 2150 to 2250. So exactly 1 hour it would have been hit. When did this occur? I'm curious when that occurred. Yeah, like the middle of Asian session. So not the best time to be trading from my experience, but maybe I should just stop giving an F and just trading it anyway. I mean, I already don't trade London session because it's just it's hard to do. Anyway, so we'll just be looking to play off this zone again, just like we did yesterday. A retest, I'm going to drag my alert down just a little bit. If it comes up there and starts testing and bouncing, then I'll look to get into sells. So we did take a trade yesterday on US 30 as well. It's essentially the same trade we're looking to take today, a break and retest. Price had broken this 1 hour zone right here, came back, retested it, started to reject. And yeah, so I called a sell right there. I closed this trade halfway to the profit target because right here was when the US equities were about to open. So like at 8:30 a.m. the US stock market opens. You can see there was a lot of volatility, so it was like halfway to the target. It would have spiked all the way back to the entry. It would have gone halfway to the stop loss and then ripped down and hit the profit target before going back up. So it's like so right here it was only like a partial winner. It was only like five. It was up 700 at one point, but I closed it. By the time I closed it, it was like 600, 500. So it was like a 50% winner. It would have ended up hitting the target. You know, yesterday I screwed up and I accidentally called it here instead. So this is me. This is when I was in the trade. See, it was halfway to the target right there. So it was like plus 700. And I put this little thing in here in the free Telegram. I put it in the wrong Telegram. I was like closing US 30 here and plus 0.5 R. US stock markets are about to open and there will likely be some opening volatility. So yeah, and then like there was like 10 minutes later, it still played out. But after that crazy spike up, so it's still, so anyway, so then I made a post like in the analysis Telegram. I was like, hey guys, I'm sorry, like my bad. I was like, I closed US 30 halfway to the target, but posted in the free Telegram instead of here. How dumb. But either way, it was still a profitable scenario for everyone because, I mean, if my clients here in Mission FX analysis, which is like 400 people right now, 401, if they happened to see it in the free Telegram, they would have been like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll close that now. And it would have been profitable. If you wouldn't have closed it and you just would have held on to it, it still would have hit the target. So either way, it was a profitable scenario. So yeah, that's good. Waiting for the same situation to play out here. Break, push back up, retest. If there's rejection there, I'll just look for a sell. Simple as that. All right, so here we have GBP JPY. All right, we've already went through GBP JPY. This was a backtest scenario I was doing yesterday. Yeah, I've already went through GJ, but this was a backtest scenario. I backtest my system every day now just to make sure everything's staying. You guys can do your backtesting on your own, but it's like support resistance levels, breaks every test with rejections, 1 to 1.1 compounded. I think this one yielded like there's a couple trades. I think it yielded like 10K, and then with all the 1.1 winners, and then all the losers that lose 10% when they lose. If you compound it all the way up and risk 10% for every trade with all the winners and losers, I think this brought everything to like 19,000 or something like that. So 10K to 19K over the course of 25th of July to 30th of July. It's about 5 days. So that was good. But yeah, that's all I'm trading right here. Super simple, just pretty much the FX majors, everything you see here on the right. And we will be waiting for all this stuff to set up. So that's everything. I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you hit the like button if you haven't already, and cheers.